Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing my January plan with me together, and this month's theme is winter postage stamps. I've fallen a bit behind in my journal because of the holidays and working on my 2026 journal setup, so I decided to go with this fairly simple theme to move things along. I say fairly simple because it's a little bit heavier on the drawing side if you're anything like me and can't draw doodles quickly or off the top of your head. I needed to pull up quite a few reference photos, which took a little more work, but the actual stamp was super easy to draw. So I think this is a very beginner friendly theme, especially because you can always change what goes on the stamps to simplify it further if you need to. But for me, what I'm drawing on my winter stamps are basically all things I deem as cozy, warm, and snowy. And if you saw last month's Goodnight Moon theme, you'll know that I am really all about coziness right now, since I use the word cozy about 5 million times in that video, just like I will in this one. But it's that time of year, you know? My big inspiration was when I saw these stamps on Pinterest. I didn't really know what I was going to do for January, but when I saw this picture, it sort of just screamed January to me. Stamps had already been on my mind as a future theme, and I thought it'd be a cute way to tie in the coziness that January always makes me feel since it's freezing cold outside here in Illinois. I stuck with a similar color palette to the inspiration picture with blues, navies, and grays. These are definitely colors that make me think of winter because these are such cool tones, and where I live we are seeing zero warmth at this time. I do like the idea of using brighter or warmer colors for January at some point to lighten the seasonal depression, but for this year we're sticking to gloom. And while we're talking about colors, I do want to highly encourage you to label all of your markers if you have any markers that don't have names to them, and then making your own little swatch page for the month with the name that you have given that marker. That's what I did for this theme because I have a lot of colors that are really close together and that I was afraid I wouldn't find again. So that way I know exactly which color to reach for or what color is going to come out once I use it on like my final product. You can obviously also just like set your markers aside, maybe have a little cup that you put all your markers in for the month. But I know for me, even if I put my blue, gray, and navy markers from the month in a cup, I wouldn't necessarily remember which of those colors that I used to make the mittens, for example. So this is just an easy hack to keep track of it all, especially when you're going to be using colors that are all really similar. So you're seeing that on the stamps, I'm drawing a cabin in the winter, a tea kettle, a lantern, a window view of snowy mountains, socks, hot cocoa, mittens, and a cross-stitch snowflake. So you get it, staying inside with your hobbies, bundling up to stay warm, and dare I say gloominess are sort of themes we're going for. I thought it'd be fun to make the stamps different heights and widths to add some dimension, and then I based the illustration off of the size of the stamp. By the way, I just have to say here really quick that for this cross-stitching stamp, I did go back and color in the background. I realized I forgot it, but you'll see what it looks like in the final flip through. Okay. I wanted the lettering to be elegant, but on the bolder side, so I recreated this font that I found on Canva and used a Pigma Micron in 08 to write January. I, for some reason, just knew I didn't want the lettering to be in the center, top, or bottom, and you know, sometimes you just have a vision that you have to go with. On the left side, I thought it'd be cute to draw a postcard, which obviously pairs well with the stamp theme, and I used this opportunity to draw other mailing or letter elements like the postmark with the circle and squiggly lines, and some straight lines where you would write an address. This time for the stamp, I drew a ball of yarn with knitting needles. I don't knit yet, but I think that's an obvious winter hobby. Then I used the same lettering from January to write Stay Cozy to really drive the cozy element of the theme home as well. And this is also the first page where I add little stars and sparkles. Because I'm using these darker tones, I thought this would be a cute little doodle to use throughout the theme for some blank space. Next is the habit tracker. Again, use the same lettering to write habit tracker. I went with that slightly off-center lettering too to make it match the title page. And then obviously for the mini calendars, I just had to turn them into stamps. It was no question that this had to be done, but a downside to that is that the border design does take up a lot of room. That being said, I had to sacrifice tracking some habits and only managed to fit 6 this month. But honestly, it really is okay because I don't know about the rest of you, but I still feel so behind from the holidays. I am just now finally getting to that point of feeling caught up, and I mean, it's January 20th right now, so I think I made a smart choice of not getting so caught up in my habits. It's a bit similar to December in the way of me not really wanting to look down on myself with this evidence that I haven't been the best at taking care of myself, because it's okay that I'm a little behind right now. There are some things I want to keep going with though, for sure, but I just made slight changes to make it more doable. The biggest change was that I made a general content calendar. I usually separate it with TikTok and Instagram at least, but I merged them together and gave myself a pass if I forgot to post on one of them. To my surprise though, I've actually been posting like crazy on there, so this is my shameless plug to go follow me on TikTok and Instagram at the link in my description. I show a lot of content that you don't get to see on my long form YouTube videos, so it's kind of fun. And then I kept some of my easier habits like brushing my teeth twice a day, doing something self-care related, cleaning, meditating, and exercising. This was not the month I was going to put something like updating my Etsy shop or not spending, because hello, I want to use my Christmas money I just got. So this is my PSA that if you have a busy month ahead, do not overwhelm yourself with your habit trackers. It is not supposed to be a shaming thing, so go easy on yourself. You may have noticed I kept the stamp borders on the first pages white, but now you're starting to see me color the borders as opposed to inside the stamp. I don't think actual stamps have this very often in real life, but I had to keep incorporating the color palette, so I thought this would be a fun way to do it. I used just one color to do this and still can't decide if I like that better or worse, but it's a little too late to back out now, so I just kept it. And then to finish it off, I did similar little doodles from the title page next to the words, like the postmark, lines, and stars. Okay, I've got to be honest that the one page I didn't have done yet at the time of filming was my mood tracker, which is usually next. But I really wanted to get going with filming, and then I had an idea while I was filming these pages, but I had to spend a little more time sketching it. So we're just going to come back to that page at the end this time, and we're going to go to the gratitude page. I'm using my elegant cursive lettering to write gratitude and just I'm grateful for with my regular printing underneath. I never put little star doodles here, but I honestly probably should to make it all come together. But anyway, I drew a mailbox full of letters in the bottom right corner. I immediately regretted using this color for the mailbox because I have no idea why I didn't use a darker blue to match what these actually look like. It was such a missed opportunity, but I guess I made it a little softer. Because the mailbox had more of a muted color to it, I decided to use a darker color to highlight every other line after I numbered 1 through 31. I forgot to do this with a lot of my spreads that I think could have used it because it's easy for the gratitude page to look pretty blank in my opinion, so I'm happy I remembered it this time. Something about doing this especially makes sense with a mail theme too. To me. Okay, the next page is my vision board. Obviously, people often do vision boards in January because of the start of the new year, and I've been seeing a ton this year. I've actually never done it, so I was starting to feel left out and thought this page would be a great time to do it. And then I thought once I found some pictures, I could turn them into stamps. So because I wanted to make them stamps, I didn't really want it to be one big collage like you see a lot. I wanted each picture to be separated with a stamp border. I printed and pre-cut all of my pictures into small squares, and after I wrote my vision board title, I started moving the pictures around to see where I can place all of them so that they'd all fit. This was a little tricky because I was trying to account for the stamp border too without there being too much or too little blank space. It didn't turn out perfect, but I'm not really mad at this, with this being my first ever vision board. As for the pictures I chose, I really just went on Pinterest and looked up themes that I was going for this year. I couldn't think of words that spoke to me, so I just used pictures. You'll see themes of self-care, luck, peace, creativity, quietness, friends, and traveling. I feel like ultimately, I just want to have fun. I still want to go out of my comfort zone, work hard, and always personally improve. But I'm just excited to be finding new hobbies and continuing with my old ones. It's been going around that 2026 is the year of analog, and I'm obviously all about that and really feel that myself. I used to play piano, and we recently just got a new keyboard, so I want to start practicing that again. Cross-stitching has become a huge hobby of mine that I hope to continue and get better at. I don't have this on here, but I've been really into making polymer clay magnets too. Of course, I'm going to continue journaling and maybe even dive into more Hobonichi journaling, which would be brand new for me. Let me know your thoughts on Hobonichis, by the way, because I asked about this on TikTok and most people said that they wouldn't recommend because of the high price point, but I feel so left out looking at people's cute spreads. So yeah, leave a comment letting me know if you think they're worth it. Anyway, I have a lot of hands-on hobbies that I've been really into lately and I'm so excited to continue doing. And I want most of my screen time to be me sharing that with the world because I have so much fun with that too. I also really love video editing as well as just designing cute educational designs on Canva of like journal inspiration and tips. And I'm feeling really motivated to keep going with that and am really excited for what's to come. You may have noticed that I was going to do what I did with the habit trackers and use the same color border for the entire page, but then I realized quickly that I didn't like that idea. So I luckily started with a lighter blue shade so I could easily go over it with one of my darker blues, and I ended up using all different shades of blue for the rest of the stamps. It wasn't my favorite choice, but I didn't like the choice of keeping them all the same even more. But honestly, I think it was more that first shade of blue that I didn't like, and then I just realized I was screwed and had to make them all different then. So it's fine, but I maybe would have changed it so that all the stamps were a more muted blue if I could go back in time. Let's go backward now to my last spread I'll be sharing today, which is my mood tracker. As I said, this was filmed on another day and I ripped my nails off. And yes, you have heard this before. Before you say anything, I did film these last 2 pages on a different day, and I did rip my nails off, so I'm sorry that you're having to see my nail beds after having glue on them for 2 weeks for the rest of the video. So, I'm sorry about that. I had this idea of sketching out a bunch of different size stamps with a wintry sketch on it, so I needed the time to draw each of those out and figure out what I was going to do for some oddly shaped ones. I quickly realized that there was no way I was fitting 31 stamps on this page unless they were really small. So for most of the stamps, I'm counting the background as a day as well. Or if I drew like mittens or ice skates, I would give each of those a day. Because I knew I wanted the stamps to be all different sizes like the title page, it definitely took some figuring out to get it exactly right, but I think it was so worth it in the end. You'll see some designs that you saw on the title page, but you'll also see a sled, gingerbread cookie, snowman, a family of penguins, an envelope, a winter hat, a polar bear, and a snow globe, and I just think it's all so cute. And then of course I use my same 4 smiley faces that I always do and assign them to colors that we've seen throughout the theme. It looks very black and white right now aside from the little orange and black accent colors that I put on there, but I can't wait to see it all filled in with the different shades of blue. Here is the final flip through of January's winter postage stamps theme. I think I definitely was able to accomplish the coziness that this season gives me, and I hope it made you feel cozy too. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!